The ruling All Progressive Congress, APC, appears to be at the crossroads regarding fielding candidates for some senatorial districts for the 2023 elections. The APC had listed the likes of Senate President Ahmed Lawan as the candidate for Yobe North, Godswill Akpabio for Akpabio Northwest, and Governor Dave Umahi for Ebonyi South senatorial districts after the three contested the APC presidential tickets and lost. But when the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, published lists of the president, vice president, and senatorial and House of Representative candidates for the 2023 elections, the names of Lawan, Akpabio, and Umahi were missing on the senatorial lists. This is because they did not emerge through validly conducted primary election. We thought it would take, these individuals that agreed to go to court, and it took the court to make a kind of pronouncement. But INEC, in its own wisdom now, has said that, look, you did not participate in the primary election, so your name does not have any business on this list.
All right. If INEC is doing that, then INEC is now living to the word independent in its name. Because this INEC, as it is now, has been taught not to be truly independent. INEC bowed to the pressure from certain political parties to extend the time that their primaries should be concluded. So that gave a lot of people worry because some parties were not ready. Particularly, the ruling party wasn't ready.
At all.
Okay? So I don't see how it makes sense for a person who did not participate in a validly held primary election to think that he can benefit from the ticket won by his party member. I don't see how it makes sense. Senate President Lawan went to contest for the presidential ticket of the APC. He lost. Godswill Akpabio stepped down. Now they are back. They say they want to reap where they did not sow. How does it even happen? But a little bit of worry I have is that I don't know if this is true, because I also heard that even though the certified true copy of the result shows, for example, in the case of Machina winning, and the other man from Akpabio winning the
Ekpodom.
Yeah, I also hear that the names of the winners are missing.
It's blank.
It's blank.
Yes.
Now,
that's correct.
I hope nobody is playing a game here, because these primary elections were witnessed by INEC officials. They know the winners. So let us stop overburdening our courts. It's not everything we take to court. Certain things are straightforward. Did Machina contest that election? Who contested that election? Who contested Machina? Who won Machina? Did Lawan win? No. It's a simple, straightforward thing. So we do not only want to see the names of what are their names again? Umahi, Akpabio, and Lawan missing. We want to see the names of the true winners on the list. That's it. That's the way it should go.
Now, some people will say it's the prerogative of the political party to determine and decide who fills the party's tickets.
Yes, which is true. But by the same time, by the same token, justice must be done and must be seen to be done. I think the APC National Chairman, Adamu, I think he's overreaching himself in certain areas. Political parties are actually supposed to help to deepen democracy, to preach principles of democracy. But you see people complaining about him. You saw the drama between him and the Kogi State Governor, Yaya Bello, at the National Convention. When he walked past him, did not greet him, went to greet the president, and he expressed shock and all of that. So even pronouncements, even threatening Machina, somebody who was declared as the winner, you are now threatening him. I mean, if you want to exercise your power of substitution, that yes, the party can substitute, he's a member of your party. This man is not a rookie politician. He has been in politics since the Third Republic. You should be able to sit down and agree and say, okay, can we do this or do this? And this idea also goes back to the National Assembly. in drawing up this electoral act, National Assembly allowed that idea that people can run for this and run for this. And you know the interesting thing? Certain people actually benefited from this. Because some governors that ran for presidential ticket in PDP, they simply went back, got senatorial, or got second-term tickets. But it's just that those in their counterparts in the APC, you know, time worked against them. They couldn't move quickly enough to, the party couldn't organize its presidential convention quickly enough so that they too could benefit. And that is what has caught these three men.
Jide, do you support INEC in this latest move? You know, by not listing those people that did not participate in the primaries?
Yes, that is what should happen. I only hope that INEC will be able to stand firm until the very end. I have no reason to believe that INEC is totally independent. INEC that can decide to extend the period, the time ceiling for convention of political parties or primaries of political parties, presidential primaries, because of a political party. I have no reason to believe that it is totally independent. The law permits INEC to recognize winners of primaries, only the primaries that it witnessed, I won't say supervised, that it witnessed. And what INEC is saying is the primaries of the APC that it witnessed in Akpabio, for example, Akpabio was not a participant in it. The Yobe North primaries, Ahmed Lawan was not a participant in it. So you don't expect INEC that witnessed those primaries to then go ahead and come up with names of people who did not take part in those primaries. That would be going against the law. Yes, parties have the final say on who represents them in elections, but there are guidelines. There are rules that the parties must follow. Parties are no longer permitted to simply substitute people. If a person who won a primary election is no longer interested, he has to say that in writing and personally deliver that letter to INEC, withdrawing from the race. After that, a primary election, a fresh primary election will now be organized. That was what happened in Bauchi. Auram Bauchi, the governor, had to stand for a fresh primary election after the so-called placeholder yielded his position or pulled out of the race to enable the governor benefit from a fresh primary. So in this case, there is no evidence that there was a fresh primary election for Ahmed Lawan. And if there was a fresh primary election for the former minister of Niger Delta,
Akpabio,
INEC did not participate in that particular primary. So INEC, and you remember that Guinea had said it, that look, the law no longer permits parties to substitute candidates. The National Assembly members have introduced all kinds of elements into our electoral law to make it difficult for people who are in the habit of substituting and imposing candidates to get away with such crimes. INEC said something that I found disturbing, that the list that it released is not final. So we don't know whether when it's going to release the final list, we can still see people like Ahmed Lawan on the list. If that happens, then INEC will have shown itself to lack independence. That's why father is supposed to be part of his name. It is also morally wrong for me to lose election to someone. I came second in an election to someone. And then another person will now come and take over that number one position. It is even unfair to the voters. Because if the voters voted for someone, it must be because they trust that person. They love that person. Why should parties now intimidate and force that winner to give up his position that was freely given to him by the masses, by the voters, only to be replaced by someone else that the leaders of the party want? That was why some of us said in the first place, some of us said we do not want consensus in choosing the presidential candidate of the APC. Those who are abusing us, it is because they felt that if the consensus was not allowed to happen, their own candidates would not win. Their candidates lack the capacity to win. Their candidates have not got what it takes to win. Their candidates refuse to campaign to the voters, to the delegates. So they were banking on the president handpicking an individual like a sergeant major. That is not democracy. Replacing Machina with Lawan will not amount to democracy. Bringing Akpabio back when he did not take part in the primaries will not amount to democracy. So I'm fully in support of INEC to not put such people on the list, except, of course, the courts force INEC to put them on the list. Once the courts step in and the courts say, look, this person is the lawful candidate, there's nothing that INEC can do. But at this level, INEC can at least play its own role of an umpire and play it well. Those that you did not supervise their primaries, they cannot be said to be validly elected as standard bearers of the party. So INEC should stand on that, stand firm, unless, of course, the courts force them to yield their position. And I know that these people will not give up. They will go through the courts, and it is possible that some of them will win in courts.
Oh, Dada. Now, must these people, must they return to that position? Must they hold any form of position? You know, this marks desperation. Okay, we've seen the likes of Minister of Transport that resigned and tried his luck. He was the runner-up in the presidential race, and he didn't go back as Minister of Transport. They're on vacation now. It's on holiday. So Akpabio had resigned, and you know, he has been the Minister of Niger Delta. I think he has been he was once a senator. I think that should just take a chill pill. Lawan has been there since God knows when, 1999, 2003.
The truth of the matter,
from House of Rep to the Senate.
They should realize that this is not political positions are not what Yoruba call a delay. You know, it's not a chieftaincy title you hold until you die. It's a political position. You are not the only person that can. I remember the last time I came here when we were talking about whether Amechi should return and all of that. BKO said something very instructive, that there are people that can do it better than Amechi, that we should not just overrate Amechi, even though he performed well as transport minister. Mr. Dr. Ahmed Lawan is not the only competent person in Yobe North that can be a senator for life. He can't be a senator for life. It's not a life position. Like you said, he's been there since 2003, and then he's still, what do you want? There are several ways you can serve your country. There are people who are serving their countries, this country meritoriously, without holding elected positions. Now, if what it tells me is, if somebody wants to get to a place by force, especially by crook, I think the person wants to serve himself, not the people. I think the person wants to serve. Such a person should not be trusted. If you have lost an election or you not participate in an election, and then you want to benefit from what you don't participate in, then there's something is wrong somewhere. It means your motive is sinister. It means your motive is ignoble. You are not going there to serve the people. You are going there to serve yourself and maybe your pocket.